Everyone that is with us this evening, thank you very much for joining us. I remain Mazezoke here. And as you all are aware, you know what has been happening in Obigbo in River State in the last couple of days. Obviously, there has been some issues in Oyibo. Now, Obigbo, as some people might call it, and some say Oyibo, which is a local government area of River State, Nigeria. And as you know, it has been on lockdown for more than 1 week now. Many families have run out of food, and many families that applies to water and medications. And people are not allowed to come and buy food, and they are not allowed to come out and buy drinks. The military men are, as we have heard, waiting on them and patrolling the area, that is every street in Oyibo. Anybody who comes out to buy anything is hunted, either arrested or shot, as we have heard. Many have been killed. There are pictures emanating from Oyibo. I've tried as much as possible to have people who are from this area, who are victims, to come on this program to speak. We heard that a military man once said that children who come out to fetch, to fetch water fell inside a well, but we don't know how true that is. Now, and people are being told to go back to their houses. So, sorry, who is doing this? Please, can you mute yourself? If you unmute yourself when not asked to do so, you risk being removed from this meeting. Thank you very much. Can we be that respectful? So, as I was saying, we know what, or rather, no one has clear knowledge of what is actually happening in Oyibo, as many people do not want to come out to speak up. We heard that a man was not allowed to take his pregnant wife, who was in distress, to the hospital. Many who still remain in Oyibo keep telling us that there is no food, there is no water, there is no light for their pump. Those, obviously, in Nigeria, people use electricity to pump water for those that have borehole. And those families are extremely in their need. The actions of those military men are, as we have read again, being ordered by someone. The question is, who is the one that ordered these military men to engage in this barbaric act? Now, there is another angle to it, that the military men, or rather that in the course of the protest, that about 6 security operatives, some have said police, some said military men, lost their lives. And the military, as it were, has come for a revenge and to bring sanity. The question that bothers us, not that one is supporting the killing of any military personnel, but why would the military act in this extrajudicial manner? We have seen when the military invaded Zakibian, we have seen the actions in Odi, and we have recently, as close as about less than 2 weeks now, the actions in Lekki, Tollgate. So why must it be that the military always take laws into their hands? Now, this evening, to join me have, get some insight into what is actually happening, because what many of us have done is to say that the senselessness that we see, it's something we cannot explain. We do not know where this thing is coming from. I will have here in our midst, Comrade Deli Ajufo, and who was the former Vice President, Aki Kenga, Delta States, in the year 1992, and also the chairman, Igbo Redemption Group, Abuja. I would have the pleasure to invite Comrade Deli Ajufo Ogbuefi to please unmute yourself and, make your own contribution to this discussion this evening. What do you think, from whatever you've seen online, whatever you've read, what do you think is actually happening? Thank you very much.
If they are able that Igbo, I don't number more cancel Oyibo. Maybe my dialect,
I think for a wider audience, please let's speak in English. Thank you.
Yeah. Besides my Igbo dialect, so I have a situation where it's a continuation of the destruction of the entire Igbo race. Well, not Igbo race. There are two races in the world. Igbo people in this country. I sent you a map of how
yes, you did.
Oyibo, that I know as Obigbo, was extracted away from Imo State. Obigbo is perhaps the border town between Imo and River State, on Imo River. Before the election that brought Wike in, he had a very good relationship with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, a very good relationship. Jointly, they had a common foe, Rotimi Amechi. Now, something must have gone wrong somewhere. I am not certain what it is. But I do believe that we are being caught in the crossfire of battle for political supremacy amongst two Ikwere sons. Yeah, that's the map. Thank you, Mazi. Is okay. If indeed, as it is done anywhere in the world, security agencies were killed, by now their photographs will be plastered all over the place to show us that these people actually lost their lives, and then we can interrogate it seriously. I don't condone the attack on any security agency, never would I support it. But also, I have this to say that the military, the police, be it the military or the police, have no right to take laws into their hands unless they are backed by a higher authority. The photographs trending on social media show people being dragged out of their homes, being maimed. The governor of River State, Nyesom Wike, some of us have talked to him. We've called him out. He is denying that he never ordered this carnage in Obigbo. I refuse to call it Oyibo. He denied ever giving orders for the carnage in Obigbo. But he imposed curfew. It's been 2 weeks curfew. Is it a continuation of starvation being an instrument of war? How do you expect people to survive without light, water, medication, food over a period of 2 weeks? Some people have come up with the notion that the leader of IPOB, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, gave orders for some beheading of some people in River State. I see that as calling a dog a bad name to hang it. If it is true that somebody gave order, go after that person. You don't go after innocent citizens. People who were maimed and killed in River State in Obigbo were unarmed. The photographs trending show people who were even walking with their hands up. As in Igbo, we have to use platform like this one, Mazi is okay, to fashion out a way of surviving in this hostile environment. It is very hostile, and we may not solve the problem on this platform today. Some people are calling for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's head, while others are calling for Wike's neck. I think I'll stop there. Maybe questions will emanate so we can say our minds. I have ideas of how we can solve this problem. It's a question of political will, and the problem anyway today is lack of leadership in the Igbo land. I'm from Imuzo in Delta State. We don't curse our elders, no matter what they've done to us. We respect elders, we walk away when they insult us. So I will perhaps want to stop there so we can have other people make comments, and then we can take it from there.
Thank you very much for that insightful contribution. So before we proceed further, I want to play this Arise interview from Ruben, a contribution made by Ruben Abati. And that probably would help us to understand what is happening, because for over a couple of days now, people have been bombarding me personally with questions as to why haven't I spoken on Obibo. And incidentally, I said, to be honest, and it's very hard for me to speak where I do not have facts. And I've tried everything to get people who are either victims or who are from Obigbo to actually come online. I've made tweets, I made posts on Facebook calling on people to, reach out. So let me get the real facts. However, informations keep coming. That one, even without the entire facts, can still not say anything. That one must actually condemn the happenings in Obibo today, because no matter what, irrespective of what led to it, the carnage that we see, the videos, the photos that we see, stands condemned, and every person of goodwill must do same. Let's look at this.
That's the first part of it. The second part of it is that, yes, the military will be in a position to say they only act in situations like this in aid of civil authorities under Section 218 of the Constitution. So Governor Wike himself does not have the powers to deploy the military, but he is in a position to say, look, this particular part of my state is in trouble, and then he seeks the support of the military.
Sorry, I hope we can hear the video play out, right?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay.
He will get his directives, I guess, directly from the president, who is the commander-in-chief, and that will be processed, and the military will go will put boots on the ground to ensure that there is no breakdown of law and order. However, the last time we looked at this subject, I said the spokesperson of the 6th Division of the Nigerian Army in Port Harcourt, Major Charles Ekeocha, spoke and said, well, the reason they are in the Oyibo community was to protect the residents themselves, to ensure that the rifles of the 6 soldiers who were killed by persons allegedly being members of IPOB, that those rifles are retrieved, because those rifles could be used to further disturb law and order in that particular community. And he said, look, the houses that they have visited, they are houses that have been identified as the residence of persons who are members of IPOB. And you know that IPOB, of course, has been involved in secessionist moves and has had, big problem, if I may use that phrase, with the Nigerian military. So Oyibo now has become another theater for that confrontation between IPOB militants and the Nigerian army. But the point that needs to be made is that whatever may be the level of provocation or the causative details, the Nigerian army has no powers under the Constitution to engage in extrajudicial killings. If indeed 6 soldiers were killed, what we expect the military to do is to go in there, identify who those killers are, apprehend them, and hand them over to the police so that they can be passed through due process. Yeah. The Nigerian army cannot say 6 of our soldiers were killed, our rifles were seized, and then we'll go on a mission of vengeance, on a retaliatory operation. That is unacceptable, because not even the Nigerian army, nobody in Nigeria is allowed to break the law willfully. And so we call on the chief of army staff to look into this for an investigation to be carried out. Amnesty International and Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, they are saying, and pictures have been posted on social media. You can say, well, you can question those pictures, but what we have seen on social media and elsewhere are pictures of bodies lying on the streets. Where did those bodies come from? Where did the gunshot wounds indicated in those pictures, where did they emanate from? So I think it has reached a level now that it has even gone beyond the level of Governor Wike. He can proclaim innocence to whatever extent he deems fit, but I think that the president and the chief of army staff should take an interest in what is happening in that place, to defend the interest of the people, to protect the people, and to make sure that we do not have the Nigerian army on a mission of vengeance on account of the alleged killing of 6 of their men and the seizure of their rifles.
I mean, we should not, we pray we don't have that, because we've had episodes like that in the past. I mean, OD has come to mind. It's been very contentious as regards OD, but we don't want that again. Please.
So as you all can see from the submissions made by Dr. Ruben Abati, and which I absolutely 1,000,000% agree with every single word, every single sentence that he lists there. There is absolutely no justification on this earth for the army to invade a civilian space. Yes, granted, without, conceding that the Nigerian army lost some personnel. But that does not warrant the level of carnage. If the pictures, if the videos that I have seen in the last 3 days are things to go by, because that breaks someone's heart. It really, gets me to a point that you keep wondering, in what manner of nation are we? As Ruben Abati rightly pointed out here, honestly, one would tend to believe that maybe the escalation process now has actually gone beyond the level of a governor of a state. And he said something that is also very striking. The person in charge of the army in Rivers State, it's Charles Ekeocha. I just had to say that. I just have to mention his name. So read meaning, do whatever you want to do with that name, but what it means, it's obviously Charles Ekeocha means, I don't want to say that he's Igbo or not, but it's the name means he should be one of those that are being killed. Question is, why does this level of carnage go on, and why this level of kind of blackout from everyone, that nothing is being said on that? On that note, let me get, because I've seen many people raising their hands, let me get on to Comrade Jerry Deli Ajufo first, to come back again.
Yeah,
sorry,
I needed to come in there quickly. I said I'll pause for people to make comments. This is a very touchy issue. I still don't believe that there was an attack on the military in Obigbo. It is an attempt to give a dog a bad name in order to hang it. I have been on this earth long enough to understand the modus operandi of the Nigerian military. The pictures of those people would have been flashing on all the screens of these TV stations in this country. And they would tell us the names of the people who were killed. We are being caught in a crossfire of battle of supremacy. We must not lose track of it. We'll come to a situation where we'll question why the silence in Igbo land over this carnage. We haven't gotten there yet, but let us establish a fact. You made a statement now, Mazi, is okay, that they said that 6 soldiers or 6 policemen were killed. If indeed 6 policemen were killed, does that warrant or justify the burning of the houses that I sent you the photographs of houses burnt in Obigbo? They have identified, according to them, the homes of the perpetrators of the killing of the soldiers or policemen. We don't know. We're not even sure. Nobody is certain whether they're soldiers, policemen, national security, what do they call them? The the security agencies like National Security Agency, we don't even know. So it's like flying a kite, and we have accepted it, look, hook, line, and sinker. There is an attempt to silence Ndibo in this country, and we are not seeing it. And that is because of the type of leadership we have. Mazi, I'm sure we'll get to that stage, but I'm saying that I still don't believe that any policeman was killed. Nelson Wike is taking out his pound of flesh over the comment made by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, which is another topic. You know, he's justifying that action by relating to it. There is an excerpt of his interview. I was trying to send it to you, but I couldn't find it anymore. His interview on AIT, he was exuding venom, hatred for Ndibo. When we accused him over the phone, somebody called him over the phone and told him that his name is an Igbo name. He said, I'm not an Igbo, don't call me an Igbo. So there's this latent hatred. Let us get to that bridge. We'll cross it. There's an attempt to justify what he's doing. He ordered the killing and he made sure that things like this will happen.
Okay, thank you very much. I would get Mazio Biokoli to make his submission, then afterwards, Marcel, please. Mazio Biokoli, if you can unmute yourself and make your submission. Thank you.
Chief Ezoke, I greet you all with the greetings of peace. In my native Igbo language, we say Udo Delono, which means peace be upon you. I'm too emotional to talk about this issue. I just saw your invitation 2 days ago and I didn't want to get involved because I happen to be born in Port Harcourt, schooled in Port Harcourt, I live in Port Harcourt all my life. And I know the Obigbo story. And the Obigbo story did not start today. The Obigbo has been a neglected place over the past centuries. I know when my dad moved over to Obigbo, bought his land there, anybody who lives in Obigbo will tell you that it is the deprived place in Port Harcourt, in Rivers State.
Yes.
Even the local government chairman, who was elected by the people, does not even stay in Obigbo. He lives somewhere else and comes maybe once in a month to Obigbo. Go down to Obigbo, there are no roads. They hardly have electricity, nothing. Now, before this carnage started, this was a protest. First of all, I must say honestly that I am not happy, I'm disappointed with Nnamdi Kanu to a large extent for getting involved in this protest. This protest was purely a Nigerian protest. And I beat myself. I was very unhappy when I heard on Radio Biafra that Nnamdi was talking about them getting involved in the week when the demonstration started. We should have been very tactical, very diplomatic to stay away from this protest that genuinely started from the Nigerians. Now, being part of Obigbo, when I went home the last time, you could see clearly the Biafran flag in front of the places where these IPOB guys had their office, right behind a military checkpoint. If you're going through the old road, not the road that leads you to the express, the one that leads you to the old Aba road, you will see the Biafran flags flying without problems right behind military and even police checkpoints. Yes, there have been 1 or 2 clashes between them, but it has never escalated to this level where these guys have gone into ethnic cleansing and genocide. There has always been problems between the Fulani people there who occupy the other side of town. I was opportune to go through that place once, and you will be afraid for your life going through there. Now, this problem did not start today. So Wike coming out right now to come up with this trumped up allegation of 6 military guys being killed, it's all a lie. Over the past 11 days, I have been on phone calling everybody that I know within Obigbo that should know something, including people who are officers. And they have not confirmed the name of these so-called 6 military officers that were killed. Again, when was the military called into this demonstration? It has always been a battle between them and the Obibo police station and all that. When did the military get involved? That these so-called IPOB people overpowered them and killed them. Right? What was happening in Obibo? Fulani people who knew so-called troublemakers, most of these so-called troublemakers, some of them were not IPOB members. Some of them were all these, I don't know how you...
Mazi Obiokoli, are you still there? It appears we've lost you, Mazi Obiokoli. We can no longer hear you. But
they shot their wives. They shot some of their children. And it would always start 3 o'clock in the morning when people were sleeping. Now, if you think about it, a lot of civilians, a lot of innocent souls have been caught in the crossfire here. Because any responsible IPOB person in Obigbo, apart from the first 6 people they gunned down, had already vanished into the thin air. So who were they killing for the past 10, 11 days? I listened to Wike. Wike was full of hate. I do not understand why the Nigerian military cannot have restraint and allow the police to deal with issues. In the Nigerian constitution, there is the police and there is the mobile police. These people are supposed to deal with internal issues, except when it becomes so serious that the military will be invited. And that has to be announced before they come in. What we are seeing today is the Fulani-led government now taking laws into their hand and the military going everywhere and assassinating people. People had no access to drugs, no water. Their telephone lines were cut off. What sort of inhuman act is this? And I do not even blame anybody, to be very honest. I blame the Igbo people that have become cowards in a country they claim to be their own. When are we going to stop this action where people think they can kill our people anytime, any day, and we do nothing about it? We don't go after them. This nonsense has to stop. We are humans, and if they don't want us to belong to Nigeria, then let us go our separate ways. We can't continue watching these people killing our sons and daughters, and we do nothing about them, and we do not go after them, and then there's silence by the Igbo leaders. And I do not want to call them Igbo leaders anymore. They are all cowards. They are not men. After the first 2 days, I would have expected any person who thinks he's an Igbo person, an elder, to move down to Obibo and assess the things by themselves. They all left it 12 days after. We're still waiting for them to do something. And you saw the less than testicular fortitude press release that was issued by some of our so-called APES organization. How long can we do this thing? And our young people are getting so impatient. And I prophesy that if care is not taken, the next battle will be between the young people in Igbo land and the elders in Igbo land. And I think something needs to be done urgently before this thing gets out of hand.
Thank you very much, Mazi Obiokoli, Mazi Ibem. You have indeed spoken well. On that note, please, I'll bring in Marcel. Marcel, please, can you make it quick and snappy? Please, thank you very much. Marcel, you're on now.
Okay, thank you, Mazi. I'm just going to be very brief. See, we need to look at trends. When things are happening, you need to look back and find out, are there any trends or are there any things that must have spurred that up? And I wrote something recently where I compared what happened in 1966 to what is currently happening. There was a coup that was organized by some Nigerians, and then it was termed an Igbo coup, and then massacre took place. Okay? Targeting the Igbos. Now in 2020, there was a protest, and immediately that protest turned violent. There was a lot of news, a lot of stuff came on the internet saying it was the Igbos. And then it took the collaborations, of which Mazizoke played a very good role, of some Igbo elders and the Yoruba elders to come together and debunk it. Now, that was able to quieten what could have happened in the Southwest. The battle now went into the Southeast. And then what you keep hearing is IPOB, 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 IPOB. And I ask, hello, how would you prove that somebody is a member of IPOB? There has to be something. You have to be 100% sure, maybe by registration, or you have a data or somewhere to say that this person is a member of IPOB. I saw the protest in the South. It was led by Fino and all those musicians. There was a lot of young people that came out, and it was peaceful. Things turned violent when the Lekki shooting happened, and the violence were everywhere. So why would anybody decide to say it's a particular set of people, and then you are the judge, you are the jury, you are the investigative panel, you are the complainant, and then you are the executor? We need to get something clear. Our military is becoming very irresponsible, especially under Buratai. And I don't want to go back to things that happened during Jonathan. Sorry, let me just make this. Remember Ihe Jirika being the chief of army staff when he was battling the Boko Haram. The North came out and said that Ihe Jirika was killing their people in the guise of fighting Boko Haram. Buhari was one of those that said that was involved in those discussions, that a fight against Boko Haram is a fight against the North. Immediately Buhari took over, the whole echelon of military guys that was under Jonathan was moved away. A new set of people came on board. If you ask me, by my own observation, I will tell you it was purely a revenge killing that you're seeing happening in the Southeast. Because tell me which other zone in this country, since Buhari came on board, where these things has happened. Just mention. Since Buratai is the head, since Buratai became the chief of army staff, tell me which other zone where the military has consistently massacred people at any slight. They'll just come up with any excuse, they move in and kill. Are there no rules of war? Are there no rules of engagement? Are we not part of an international organization that have signed to some conventions when it comes to rules of engagement? Are we that lawless? Is Buratai that irresponsible? Because let us leave Wike by the side. Buhari is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. He's the only one that can authorize the deployment of military for those particular actions. So let's assume Wike decided to settle scores with people. Buhari, can't he, as a father of the nation, and in response, say, okay, follow the rule of law. What have they done to you? Set up the police. Let us investigate it. You just pump the military with weapons. And then you should tell me, where's Nigeria? Any zone in Nigeria where the military does this. So it's better we begin to look deep. I am seeing a revenge killing. Buhari and Buratai really has to come up and tell us exactly what their mission is. Let's not mince words. I'm not blaming Nanikanu. I'm not blaming anybody. There are people that are ultimately responsible and accountable for weapons and military in this country. They are the one that deployed it, and they are the one that should be held accountable. You can't break law mercilessly because it says somebody said something. It's nonsense. Nobody ever hears that. Okay, I call you a madman, and then you use a state power to come after the entire village, entire location. Hello. We have to, let's pinpoint this. Buhari and Buratai, they need to come open and tell us, is this a revenge killing? It's a question we need to ask them. Thank you
very much. Thank you very much, Marcel. Ngobe. See, the thing here is, as you rightly pointed out, the military, it's something within the exclusive purview of the commander-in-chief. That's why he is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. So now, I think here, if we all are smart thinkers, I think when this protest started, we had what they called that the crocodiles will smile. And the crocodile was to smile all over Nigeria. So that was a ploy to deploy the military within all the nooks and crannies of the nation. However, I think without blaming anybody, the issue is, truth be told, like Mazio Biokolu said, we inadvertently played into a plan, and I wish that didn't happen, because that conversation would have been something different if nothing was to be held on us. On that note, I am bringing in Uche Chukwu Eze. And after Uche Chukwu Eze, we'll have Emmanuel Okeke. Uche Chukwu Eze, please unmute yourself and take the podium.
Yeah, thank you, Mazi. Good evening, everyone. Marcel has said a lot that I wanted to say, so many things, but I wanted to add one or two things. Has the Nigerian military become a private talks, or how can I put it, private police? Because Wike doesn't have any rights, according to the law, to authorize the military. And I watched his interview, two of them or three, and he said he didn't authorize the military. But I haven't seen any video of him condemning the attack or asking the president to do something about it. That shows that he has hands into it. So he never denied it, being that he never condemned the attack, and he's not doing anything to stop it. Because I'm trying not to be emotional, but I'm really, 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 really emotional on this. So I think I'll leave it there.
Thank you very much, Uche. Thank you. And Emmanuel, can you please unmute yourself? So any other person who wants to make contribution, please use the device to raise your hands. If you're raising your hands like a human, sadly, I'm not in the view to see your hands being raised. So Emmanuel, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, Mazi is okay. And good evening, everyone. I have heard what all my brother just said. Mostly the first person that speak, and the second one that is trying to put the blame on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu based on what he overheard, that Nnamdi Kanu said that the IPOP is getting involved. But that was never the truth. Nnamdi Kanu no said it open, that IPOP was never involved in the protest. This is Nigeria. And I will still quote the guy. If Nnamdi Kanu still called a Nigeria, he wants a Biafra, and Nigeria said no, that means Nnamdi Kanu is still a Nigeria. He still have right to say on whatever that is happening in the country that are forcing him to belong to, if they don't want him to go the way he wants as a Biafra. That is one. The other thing I would say is that the jealousness in we Igbo is too much. And that is our problem. Who is the leader? Why must he be you, or why must he be me? One of my brothers said during the Jonathan administration, the Buhari said, or Arewa said, or Buhari himself said, any fight against Arewa, Boko Haram is against the northern states. And don't we have any Igbo, one single person that will speak for Igbo? Or haven't they killed enough in the whole Igbo race since 2015 that one man will stand, say this is enough? Let's leave Nnamdi Kanu apart because of his whatever that he's fighting for, which is duly his right and our right to say we want to belong here or we don't want to belong here. Nnamdi Kanu, mind you people, that Nnamdi Kanu didn't start this movement from Buhari administration. It started since 2012, since I started following the program on radio anyway. When he was arrested, he was once arrested on Jonathan and all this stuff. Nobody heard of him. Just like protests in Lekki. If they didn't go to Lekki to shoot, maybe nobody would have, it would remain peaceful till date. Just like Boko Haram, all the same. So what we are saying here is that let Wike, for my conclusion, let Wike as governor of Rivers State, as a governor, because these people, they will say one thing. I'm not the one that commanded the army or police. They have more collaboration with the police and the army because they invest the state funds to them. These people don't get any more thing in federal. They are only quoting under the federal, or they get more on the state. Wike, if we are not involved in what is going on in Obigbo, come out on the way you come out on television 2-3 times and say that, first of all, let the COVID stop. Let the people get access to water, to the hospital, to something for 2 weeks, no movement. Abba.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your contribution. Can I use the opportunity now to call on the Pastor Godwin Umaka to please unmute yourself and have the floor. Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Mazi Ezoke. One or two things I need to mention. First of all, I wonder the kind of um, relationship that Wike is now having with the army. I know that over the period, we have been fighting in the army, the commander and others. So what has happened now that they're having a kind of working together from what I'm seeing. The next one is what is going on is a genocide, and I'm wondering why the Red Cross, Amnesty International, all of them, is it that they don't know what is going on? I personally had to start sending messages to my friends, calling attention to at least let Resco enter, and at least they have the power, they're supposed to have access to such, even if it's a war zone, the Red Cross can enter. Can Red Cross go in and get the truth? Or is it the army will not allow them to enter? Because since we don't even know who is saying, the truth, we don't know what is actually happening. From all the information we are getting, people are suffering for 2 weeks or thereabout. There's a total lockdown. People cannot go out and buy food or do anything. If you come out, you're either killed or you are harmed. So when I'm saying that, what is Red Cross doing? What is international community? What is Amnesty and all of them doing? Why can't they go? Even if it's not Igbo land, even if it's not have nothing to do with Igbo or IPO or whatever. I'm not. But assuming it's Yoruba or I'll say another, it doesn't even matter. Anywhere at all, it should not be allowed. They are human beings.
Okay.
So my point is that it doesn't matter whether it's Igbo or not. What is Red Cross doing? What is the international community doing about it?
Thank you very much. But let me try as much as possible to the point you've raised to address them. Now, you asked what the international community, communities are doing. Now, you see, if you need to establish something, there is one thing that, obviously, if not for your question, I wouldn't want to say this at this stage, but I'll go ahead. There is one thing that we have to establish. When you want to approach international organizations, there is, data has to be accurate. However, sadly, just putting emotion aside, sadly, majority of the pictures that I was availed to, and when I subjected them to forensic examinations, sadly to note, many of them weren't from there. Hence the call to, people, maybe first-hand victims, people who were actually there to come up and give their own narrations. Because if you can't rely on secondary data that you have gotten, then it makes your case very, very unlikely to pursue. Not that many people or that many of us don't know what to do at the background, but you don't want to go to international communities or organizations at that stage. And when they do those things you ought to have done in terms of verifying, then you get yourself to maybe get your facts blown away. But having said that, I think some videos today, being the 3rd of November, that came out today, and some pictures that came out today, and for the hasty before this program, for the hasty review that I have done, appears to be authentic. At least, I think from today things began to change. I watched a video that really broke my heart. That one was like a marketplace that filled with containers. I don't know, but it appears it's a marketplace built with containers. And every single damn shop there was razed to the ground. When I say every, not a single one standing, every single damn shop with its content. That is, I mean, the only thing that comes to mind, honestly, is what the way Odi looked like when under Obasanjo soldiers went to Odi. That's the only thing that I can, relate that to. But again, we'll see what what we'll come up with. Before I'll play us a different video of what a different interview that was granted. I think that was to channels. But let me allow first Chooks Mpa to have the podium and make a comment. Chooks, you're on.
Okay. I wish to, appreciate you for this Zoom meeting. For the effort you're making to bring some clarity and knowledge as to what's going on in Obigbo. From my perspective, I clearly, I do not want to defend anybody. I think all parties are guilty. One, I think Wike has a responsibility as the chief security officer of Rivers State to call the security agencies to order when they are actually going out of control. The federal government too also, Buhari has a responsibility also to protect the lives of Nigerian citizens. Also, I think somebody mentioned here that we seem to be the target wherever there is a protest or anything goes on, Igbos are made victims. I think in this particular situation, it was the actions of Nnamdi Kanu. There's no holding back the fact that except the videos that we have seen are wrong, except those videos are wrong. But if the videos that have been shared on social media are right, where Nnamdi Kanu, has come out to place bounty on heads of certain politicians, Wike inclusive and all the rest of them. And he had made some inciting statements saying that IPOP should go and do certain things. He's calling on IPOP that they are going to do this, they're going to do that. For me, all those statements, you're only bringing attention to, the IPOP as it is. And synonymously, a lot of people would want to attach IPOP to Igbos. And therefore, Igbos will become under, Igbos will get under attack. So I think it's about time we also collectively call our son Nnamdi Kanu to order. You can't be fighting for something and you're out here in the UK, and you are making inciting statements that's going to put the lives of a lot of Igbo people at risk over there in Nigeria. This is not what we stand for. If you have, if there's something you want to fight for, first, you have to be sensitive to the impact of your statements. The first thing is what is going to be the best way for us to achieve whatever it is that we want to achieve as Igbos. You must be very strategic how you go about some of these things. You must go about it like learned people. You cannot, just go about it talking like we're all, thugs on the street. And even when you're talking about that, like thugs on the street, you don't even have the military ammunition or otherwise to defend the people that you are inciting way down there on ground in Nigeria. We can all, we can all put blames on Buhari and try to make, all manners of assumptions and try to, put the things we see in an advanced country and try to put it in Nigeria. But it doesn't work that way. Nigeria is not a first world country. It's not a developed country. So again, also, it's a nation on its own. So please let us, there's a whole lot that needs to be said, but because time is limited, I think the one singular thing we need to do is to first try and protect the lives, of Igbos wherever they are. We know we are victims in this case. We know we are fighting for something. We want, a certain level of self-determination. But please, let us not do it when we do not have the facilities to at least assure the safety of the people that we incite to go out there and do whatever they do. A lot of young Igbo boys are dying out there on the street, and a lot of them are so hungry. And when they say, when you make one statement, they all go there, and then they die, and then we all start to shout, and then we shout a little while, and then everything seems quiet again. Please, let us toe the line that Mazi Ezeoke is towing now. Let us be more strategic. Let us approach these things like, wise people who we are. I think the blame game needs to stop. Our son needs to retract his step. That's all I can say for now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I believe we're here when I said at some point that, there were some things, that obviously we should have probably avoided. But that having said, in Igbo, we said that I hope those who I have spoken to understand what I mean, and I wouldn't go further than that. Thank you. And we will be trying to, because what I don't want is, I understand that we have close to 1,000 people watching us online now. I don't want those of us within Nigeria that that data is very expensive, and that's the only way you can watch us, to spend much now. So we will be trying to round up. But before we do, I want to bring back Marcel. Then after Marcel, we will get back to our chief speaker, that is Comrade Deli Adufo. At the beginning, he said there might be some suggestions he might want to make. So anything you say now, please put on, add your suggestion as well, so we can make progress. So Marcel, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, I want us to get this clear. Nnamdi Kanu is an individual. He might have followers. Yeah. Nigeria is a state. Is an institution that interacts with other international institutions. So as an institution, there is a level of expectation for the leaders of that institution. I don't have any expectation on Nnamdi Kanu, but I have an expectation on the person who Nigerians have elected as a president to lead them. I have an expectation on my military. I have an expectation on my police. I have an expectation on the institutions in which I have given my powers, my rights to bear arms. I have handed it over to those institutions. So those institutions are supposed to protect me. So I have an expectation on them. Anybody trying to bring Nnamdi Kanu or bring another person is hiding or trying to aid the state-sponsored killings. There is a level of expectation, minimum. And that minimum level of expectation is you have a right to protect your citizens. We have Boko Haram up north, carrying arms, fighting the Nigerian military. What does Buhari do? When the Nigerian military has captured them in the theater of war, you will bring them in. You will pamper them and retrain them and try to reorientate them. And then you absorb them, pay them some money, and then send them back into the society. That is Boko Haram. Now you have another group of people, no arm, nothing. They are just being youthful. And then you will send your soldiers with arms to shoot them at sight. I mean, see, let us not mince words. Let us not mince words. Let's call a spade a spade. Buhari is ultimately accountable, is responsible, and he is killing, he's committing crimes. Let us not push it around and call Nnamdi Kanu and call Wike or whatever. The president of the country, to whom we have given powers to run this country, is committing gross human rights abuse. And that is what we should focus our attention on. And in terms of calling the international community, I am not going to look for evidence and give to them. I am going to tell them that social thing happened in this place. Can you come and investigate? That should be the approach.
Okay.
Can they write the Nigerian government that they want to come and investigate and see by themselves what has happened? I do not have any picture to show them. I don't have any video, but there was a military was deployed. Conflict was in place. Can you come in and investigate? When the international community gets in, all these things you are saying will be found. Will be found out. And let me tell you one thing: we have satellites all over the place. We have geo satellites that can zoom in and pick a pin anywhere. So, in as much as our military think they can do anything and hide it, when the time comes, they will be shown.
I think.
Thank you
very much. Thank you very much, Marcel. But I think, you see, there was, I can't remember who made that statement. I think that was an American diplomat that said that Nigeria doesn't matter to them in the scheme of things. And recently, as the election to the chair of the World Bank, World Trade Organization, WTO.
WTO.
Yeah. So you can see how suddenly America veered their way and oppose, well, not veto, but at least they veered their way. So what am I trying to drive at? That there are things that doesn't matter, that if you do not gather the evidence yourself and blow your trumpet. Now, expecting that someone who is sitting somewhere in Europe or America would come down and do the job that we ought to have done, you're beginning not to sound like not that you're not a Nigerian anymore, because obviously it's not going to be it's not possible, because there are complicity here. I remember vividly in 2016 when the what we call the Aba massacre happened. Now, between Umahia, if you're heading to Aba, there was a refuge. So many people that use that road will understand. If you leave Abia Tower on your left, there was a refuge dump where you have a gully erosion there. That's an erosion site. Bodies were dumped there. And by the time we found out what was happening, teams were sent there to go and take photographic and video evidence. The video is still here on YouTube. Now, when they found out, because a group of us alerted the Amnesty International, what then happened? But before Amnesty International was able to get to that site, all they all saw was burning flames. That means those bodies were already destroyed. So now, you see, this is where a country where evidence is destroyed and there is nothing you can do, there is nothing you can do. Isn't it laughable that we know what happened in Lekki? Every single person with an iota of common sense know what happened in Lekki Tollgate. But suddenly, you've been told that no one died and you think it's a joke. At the end of the day, you might end up kidding yourself and saying nobody died. And there is nothing, the world is not going to end. So again, without blaming anyone, we must come to the realization that caution, again, I align myself with Mazo Biokul, caution is needed. Not everything because we can speak that we must say. And again, I'm restraining myself not to say more than that. What we want now is peace. And how do we address and make progress? Thank you very much. On that note, I would bring back Delia Jufo, please, to make your submission, and we'll be rounding up on that. So, Comrade.
Thank you, Master. Okay, I'm indeed very happy to have appeared on this. I think you were on the webinar with Pade Banjo, the Ovation guy, Dele Momodu, and a number of Igbo people. You hosted it. You co-hosted it with Dele Momodu. It was an eye-opener. We are lacking something, and the world abhors a vacuum.
Exactly.
People like Nnamdi Kanu will rise because there's vacuum of leadership in Igbo land. Until we address this issue, we're just wasting our time. The young man myself spoke a lot with passion. I could feel him. It doesn't. We have a saying where I come from in Ibuzo in Delta State. Even if you can't fight, pretend as if you have the energy to fight. Our leaders are not even coming out to speak. I'm not even talking about condemnation. Find out what is happening to my people in Obigbo, for God's sake. We have been abandoned. That is what gives rise to people like Nnamdi Kanu. And I don't see anything wrong with Nnamdi Kanu speak. Gani Iba, Gani Adams was worse. I don't know how old you people are. He was worse than Nnamdi Kanu. But they pampered him. They brought him under their umbrella and coached him. Today, he's the Are Onokakanfo of Yoruba land. He's not half as educated as Nnamdi Kanu. But we abandoned this young man, invited enemies of our people to prescribe what little organization he was leading peacefully, and sent them under the guise of crocodile, whatever it was, to go and decimate his property. My daughter-in-law is from Afaraku, not 2 minutes away from Nnamdi Kanu. When we went for this wedding there, my daughter-in-law's sister, I looked at this house. How can anybody survive from this carnage here? So we have to address that issue. We have to troll our leaders. We have to engage them. If they are not ready to lead us aright, let them quit. Until we do that, we are complaining about national government. And yet we don't have roads in the east. We don't have good roads anywhere in Igbo land. Why don't we call out our governors to get them to do the right thing? They are receiving humongous sums of money. We are here blaming Nnamdi Kanu for what? The boy is pained. I can feel him as well. I'm not saying I support what he's doing, but for God's sake, let him fight for his separatist arrangement while we fight for restructuring. What is wrong with it? There are two ways to redeem yourself. So I'm suggesting that if arising from this meeting, we can get our leaders, well, in quotes, leaders in quotes, to sit down and address the issue. Today, I'm sure you read it again, the chairman of the Southeast Governors Forum is arranging a meeting between Ohanese leadership and Wike. Oh my God, what an insult. Why can't he call the man and say, oh boy, what is happening? You are arranging a meeting between the leadership of Ohanese that is lame duck at the moment, leaving in about a month. We're wasting our time, my brothers and sisters. We have to take charge of our lives and get our leaders to come together and do today that we've been begging them to pass the anti-grazing law for the past how many months or years. They are not even addressing it. What are we afraid of? Anytime we have a meeting, they say they are afraid of Abuja. Is Abuja a monster? If I'm afraid of Mazi, okay, then I'm doing something wrong. I think I'll end there, but I belong to a lot of groups and we're discussing, trying to get them. I won't attend a meeting with the governors because I'll be so insulting to them. So the last time they arranged it, I said I wasn't going to be there. I think you went with them, with Professor Pat, who told me. I will not go to those people because I have no regard for them. They have failed. They have let Igbo youths down. They have let Igbo people down. We have to call them out to save us and lead us aright. Until we do that, please, let's not discuss this thing any further. I thank you.
Thank you very much for that submission. So I think Ajere, Raphael. Raphael, can you unmute yourself, please?
Mute?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Please, I just wanted to respond very quickly to the speaker that was blaming Mazi Nnamdi Kanu for the bounty on Wike's head. Look, most of the things that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu does is because he's responding to what is already happening. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu didn't just wake up and put a bounty on Wike's head. So I don't know if people are really following what's been happening. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have always told the people that were protesting that, look, do not destroy things. And he told them that if you are attacked, you can only attack the police, you can only attack the military if they attack you. Don't destroy buildings that belong to ordinary people and all that. You understand? Before Mazi Nnamdi Kanu placed this 1 million bounty, he was responding to the 50 million bounty that Wike placed on the coordinator of IPOB in that region. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was only responding to that. So it's not as if Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is interested in Wike's head or in anybody's head. So I don't know why people are always passing blames. I know that it has been, the follow-up speakers have responded to that. So I just wanted to cite this. Please let people stop blaming Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that he said he placed bounty or he said one thing or the other. He only responds to what is happening. And like the last speaker has said, this is a man that is concerned about what's happening on ground, and he's responding because he cares. He cares. He could decide to stay away. He could decide to live his life and be happy and forget about everything. But he's concerned. And I don't know why some people would just want to place blame on him and say, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, you are the one that is inciting this. But it's not true. Thank you very much for having me briefly. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, for your clarification. But again, I think what I am, or rather we should be more interested in now is to look for solutions. Now, as suggested by, Comrade Deli Ajufo, who said that he doesn't have much respect for the so-called leaders, quote unquote. Now, one thing that, when I think about it, in Igbo, again, sadly, for those of you who do not understand Igbo, I cannot do without putting some of the things I say in Proverbs, because that's the best way I can express and get meaning into what I want to say. Now, asana adi efelu ogwabana, so you don't get ready for war. So, trying to get so much meeting, and I wonder if really we had, or don't we have people who could have rang Wike to say, enough, can we step down? Because the issue is here, and I must make this clear. I think we've said this at the beginning. Not for 1 second do I believe that Wike has control over the army, right? That is, we must get that clear. As Marcel said, that is under the jurisdiction of the CNC of the Federation. So let's put the blame where the blame squarely is. So he is the one that has authorized the army, because the army is not on an illegal operation. If there were conflict between two ethnic nationalities within the Obigbo, then it becomes a different thing. That is a civil disturbance. You send in the police. If it comes to a point that maybe some arms or ammunitions get involved, then you send in the military police, or rather what we call the MOPOs. But to send in your full-fledged soldiers who are to defend your territorial integrity when you have external wars on civilian matters, that is an absurdity. And I think anyone that condemns what happened in Lekki must as well condemn what is happening in Obigbo, because these are human beings, these are our brothers and sisters. Like one of the speakers said, it doesn't necessarily matter where this happened. So it's something that we all must condemn, because it's something that affects us all inadvertently. Because today, the other time it was OD. The other time it was another town, and exactly. The other time, we cannot. The army has no business. Now, where does Wike come in? And that, I think, is a clarification I have to make. I blame Wike. You have had over a week of 24 hours curfew. People are dying of hunger. People no longer have medications. They cannot come out. There is no medical supply. Unless we have someone here who can tell me otherwise, that in the last couple of weeks that there has been medical supply where you have 24 hours lockdown. That's what it means. When you have 24 hours curfew means there is absolutely no movement. Therefore, like we say with palliatives, why did they leave the palliatives? And I will ask, if you have that lockdown, what is the plan? What are you doing to ensure that the sick get medication? Imagine someone who, before this incident started, who is hypertensive, maybe only has a couple of days worth of medications to lower the BP. So it's not only about those killed by gun, it's also about the trauma, the children, the younger ones in there. And there is accusation of rape ongoing. I mean, when sometimes I think this is, for Christ's sake, people, this is 21st century, and these things keep happening as if there is one barbaric 17th centuries country where something like this happens. It gets your blood so hot and it gets you angry because this is unacceptable, people. And to conclude here, I would call on Mazo Biokoli to please put in your submission and note that we are now rounding up. Thank you very much, Mazo Biokoli, because you were cut up before.
Yeah, Chief Ezeoke, I think you talked about solutions. I think the first thing we need to do, like a lot of people have said here, do not put the blame on Nnamdi Kanu. Yes, that is true, but sometimes you do not take because of the sweetness of the kola nut and you chew recklessly, you will chew your tongue. Sometimes we need to be strategic in our planning. Secondly, we need to focus now this battle, whichever battle, freedom or whatever we call it, inside the southeast of Nigeria. The people who are our governors are not being controlled directly by Buhari for them not to build roads and provide infrastructures. We need to make life unbearable for these people in Igbo land. The leadership in Igbo land must begin to change hands. Ohaneze is trying to provide a new president. Modo is coming, his tenure is coming to an end. And who are we all going to keep quiet and watch come in as the next Ohaneze president? This is one question that the whole youth in Igbo land should begin to ask themselves. Why is it that the next Ohaneze president should not be somebody between the ages of 25 to maximum 45? Why do we want to recycle all these old men that have been there, that have done nothing for us, that are not speaking for us to become the next Ohaneze president? We need to put pressure on Abia State Governor, Imo State Governor, Enugu State Governor. They are practically doing nothing. We should make life unbearable for these people to begin to provide jobs for our young people, provide development in our communities. We must put the pressure within ourselves to do better. If we build our society, we might not have the need to go have our people in Kanu being massacred and in Kaduna and all the rest. People will be attracted to our own region. And these things we need to do. We cannot gloss them over with nice speeches and pretend that things are all right. Our youth need to have jobs. How do we do that? Then thirdly, what of our neighbors? How much dialogue have we had with our neighbors? We cannot have a Biafra, we cannot have a confederation without having a very good relationship with our neighbors. Who is discussing with them? Who is discussing with our brothers and sisters in River State, in Delta State, in Akwa Ibom, and the rest of them? We've had excellent relationship with them before the British came in. Why are we not discussing with them to find a melting ground where we all can begin to work together, where every person, be them Ijo, Ishekiri, whatever, can have freedom to live in the East, wherever they choose to be, free to progress? We need to start having all this conversation. The North hate us. We cannot gloss these things over. The president of Nigeria has an agenda. Everybody in Nigeria knows that agenda. But we must be pragmatic, not to always play into their hands. They've come with their Python dance. They killed us and left. They came with their crocodile dance. The people who are culpable for bringing them into the Python dance, we did nothing to them. We just spoke about them, criticized them on Facebook, and nothing happened. We should push these people to understand that if you sabotage us, there should be consequences for it. And I think we should not be giving these people rose flowers anymore. It's getting unbearable watching all these our young people die.
Thank you very much, Mazi Obokoli. And I will say that is excellently put. At the end of the day, it is within us to take this responsibility. And part of that responsibility is to start speaking up. Now, as what you said on regarding the Ohanese, I think the Imo State would produce the next Ohanese president. Please, I think you made an excellent point. But however, as we also say in Igbo, okwara na okwu n'afọ wala agbanjo. Nsiara no n'afọ wala isi. That means that it's only as Abiola would say, you cannot shave a man's head in his absence. So all those, nothing is given on a platter of gold. Everyone indicating interest, knowing that January next year, there's going to be a new Ohanese president, and Imo State will be the one to produce that. So, it's nothing. The elders, the old, we're not going to let it be without putting up a fight. But maybe the NSAS protest, maybe the awakening within the youth is probably beginning to be there, that it is now time for them and for us all collectively to push for that which is rightly ours. On that note, I will say thank you everyone for joining this conversation. What is going to happen is, if you are watching online now, I know we are close to 1,000, please, and you have, or you are from Obigbo, you have informations, I would say you can get back, you can get back to me, or you can get back to Njenje Media TV. You can reach Njenje Media TV with their email address, which is njenjemedia@gmail.com. Or you can go to Twitter and tag me, which is at Mazi Ezoke, MAAZIEZEOKE. What we need to do is to find authentic information, and those that I will call victim. If you are a victim, that what has happened in Obigbo has affected you, and you're willing to share with the world what actually happened in this time of your total lockdown. I mean, I don't call it curfew, I call it total lockdown. People have been kept incommunicado, indoor. At some point, I heard that network was switched off. I don't know how true that is. I do not know. But some of these things, granted, unverified, but it is scary because this is not a full-blown war. I'm not aware that we are in a war as such, And having said that, and I will say, one thing that's going to happen is, be rest assured that conversations will continue offline. Many of us who feel so pained by the things we've seen, by the things we've heard, are not going to sit down, just watch that be. We will get to a point, and this is something we have so many of you have called me, we'll get to a point that there must be a price on every single Igbo person alive. That once you do something to touch an Igbo man, there must be a price. Because for so long, can we allow things to play out in a way that will make your blood boil? But at the end of the day, what we are here to do, we are, as Ndibo, a peaceful people. And I use this opportunity to say, wherever you are, please be law-abiding, as Oyibo you are. Again, it is an unbelievable thing happening. On that note, I will say thank you very much for joining me this evening, and keep faith. We believe that we will get somewhere very soon. Thank you very much. Thank you all. And for those watching online, thank you also. Comrade Deli Ajifo, thank you very much. I don't know if you have any concluding thoughts, then we can.
If we are not secure, if our territory is not secure, we are into a hiding for nothing. I have attended several meetings where our erstwhile Bakassi boys have come to say, we are waiting for orders. We are ready to go into the bush. What's delaying us? I'm not saying they should take up arms. It is our land. If you come to my land and I want you, I have every right to chase you out. I mean, what is delaying us? Let us have our vigilante Christian Bakassi boys and see wonders in Igbo land. I promise you. That name invokes fear in the hearts and minds of everybody. We want our land, our territory to be safe. And in Bakassi boys, I trust. Just like on Aburi, I stand. Thank you very much, Mazi. Okay. God bless you. Yeah, for us who are we're old now, you see, we're burning like Paribajo that day. I love the man. The way he was burning with fire. It's like he will go and grab everybody and kill them and take them away from the platform. No, we are too quiet. We are too docile. Well, I leave it to you, young ones. God bless you. Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Thank you very much. I want to use the opportunity to recognize, I think I can see Daniel Elumba, the CEO of Elumba Communications. Daniel, just want to put you on the spot. Is there anything you want to say?
I'm very sorry. When I got the notice, I was still working with 7 p.m. London. I forgot that the UK time.
7 p.m. time.
1 hour behind. So I joined late. So I wouldn't want to.
But what's your view? I mean, I understand, but what's your view, and what's your entire view on what's happening in?
Well, I think on the killings that happened in Oyibo, I was telling someone today that we are faced with the same problem we had at Lekki. And it is high time that I was speaking with my correspondent in Rivers State. He swore that he's an eyewitness of the killings that happened, and that he took action to evacuate his parents from Oyibo, he was living not in that Obigbo area, but they had relations living in Obigbo. So he took action to immediately evacuate them from the place. And then I requested for video. I had that discussion with you. So I requested for a video and photo evidence of people who were actually killed by the army. So he came back today and said that all his friends, all his contacts said they have deleted their photo and video they captured of what the army did in Oyibo, because they were afraid that if the army stops you in the area, that the first thing they will check will be your mobile phone. And so if your mobile phone contains any, what they call incriminating evidence, that will put you in serious trouble. And of course, we have to remember that before the army moved in, the governor of Rivers State placed the entire area in lockdown. And so people of Obigbo were not able to move out, and those outside Obigbo were not able to come in. And so even after the military operation, that when the army moved in, so the army are still occupying the area. And so people are afraid that if the military stops you and find any evidence of whatever they did, then that will put you in trouble. Well, it's either for you to believe this or not to believe. But we are now put in a situation where we don't have any evidence of what actually happened in Oyibo.
Verifiable evidence.
Verifiable evidence. So we still have placed in the same position we are now with what happened in Oyibo. Because if we have that, it is on record that the governor of Rivers State invited the army. So that puts Governor Wike in a position where he is responsible for whatever the military did in the area.
Sorry, but
so that makes him a candidate for crimes against humanity committed by the military, if indeed that happened.
Let's
sorry.
Go ahead. Let's to buttress what you're just saying. Let's listen to this clip of his.
And men of Nigerian police and the army. want to say clearly that as River State government, we will support you to make sure that the perpetrators of this heinous crime do not go free. Enough is enough. We can't continue to kill our policemen who have not done anything, who have not caused any crisis, just because.
Because when I continue to listen to this, it makes me annoyed because the government of Nigeria behaves. Let's stop this. The government of Nigeria behaves as if, you have just said it, as if we are living in barbaric age. If some people committed, if anyone kills the police, if anyone has killed a soldier, you have all the state resources to go out and fish out the person that committed that crime.
Absolutely.
That doesn't give you the mandate to now invade the whole
country, ravage the whole place,
shooting people at sight. So it's annoying listening to this type of what Wike is doing. So, but then, like you said, we don't have the evidence that this happened. If we have the evidence, then the Igbo community, the global Igbo community, is in a position where we will make sure that even if Governor Wike escapes punishment for any crime he might have committed, then he cannot travel outside Nigeria. And that is what we should concentrate on. He's now in the same position like Governor Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State, because the international community takes Amnesty International seriously. So if Amnesty International says 10 people died, however way you denied it, what they believe is that 10 people died at Lekki Toll Gate. But we are now waiting for the Amnesty International. I've not gotten Amnesty International report of what happened in Obigbo, so we are waiting for that. So if we get Amnesty International report of what has happened in Obigbo, then that will be the document the international community will be working with. And then the Igbos have to think, because there is one thing I did with the Southern Kaduna crisis. As everybody started noticing that Southern Kaduna appears to be calm now.
Of course.
Good. What we did with Southern Kaduna is that Southern Kaduna has a global organization of Southern Kaduna indigenous in London and in the United States. And these are the people who have worked in serious positions. Even some of them are still working with the Home Office here. But you wouldn't know. So what we did is that we made sure that every person indicted in the killings in Southern Kaduna, his name is with the Home Office. His name is with the US immigration. Then they cannot travel out. They will apply for visa, it will be refused. Their children will apply for visa, it will be refused. And they wouldn't know why. So if the Igbos will now form that type of organization where anybody indicted of such crimes against, of course we don't support IPOB. If IPOB is being unruly, then we wouldn't support them. But you have the state resources to fish out any IPOB person who has committed any crimes against the state. But if you now, because IPOB did one thing or the other, and you have committed crimes against humanity, let us have your name. Then we will put it with the Home Office, and then you can travel out. Your children cannot come to school here in London. But then we need the evidence. We need evidence to work with, and that is what is lacking in this present instance in Rivers State.
Thank you very much.
Mazi, if I may just say something, I think we should do everything within our powers. Because what I've always been thinking is that Nigeria does not have a database of its citizens, and that's why they could kill and bury them and nobody asks questions. So maybe we should start. It doesn't take anything to set up a database of citizens. I can crank up a website here and provide the necessary interface and ask every Nigerian that wants to remain safe to come and register his proof of life. And then we triangulate them by locations, by local governments, and by where they stay. So when such things happen, I will just ask you to click that you are safe. And if I could not get a click that you are safe, then we begin to find where the person is. We need to find a way to begin to hold government accountable using technology. It is possible. It is not out of place. And I think let's work together and let's see how, because we cannot continue to afford a massive loss of life every now and then. They will just kill and bury. And you will say there is no evidence and everybody walks away free. We have a duty to protect our people. We have a duty to help them. So let us work together.
The problem is that, so sorry, Marcel. The problem is that, okay, Nigeria have been waiting for a national identity card scheme for decades. But there is nothing that stops my any governor of Anambra State, for instance, to do that. They're talking about of all the Anambra State indigenous. What is wrong with that? Why can't they do it? And this thing will not cost them.
So
it's cheap.
So Mazi and Dan Elomba, if they are not doing it, can the citizens do it? And I'm telling you, it's very simple. I'm a technology person. We can do something to help our people. We can.
Marcel, yeah? I do not disagree with you, but I think, we have once had this conversation. It's a conversation that I want to actually, we take it offline, we'll see.
Okay.
But the challenge, we'll see where we can go with this. But, again, like Dan said, the challenge here is there are things, think about it. Nowhere in this world there's, citizens coming just to put their databases together. There was what Facebook actually did one time. I think disaster, something that if a disaster happens here, they activate it only based on locations. You can click if you're safe. I can't remember what happened one time. I got that notification just popping up because they use your geolocation saying click if you're safe, right? For many countries in this world now, Dan will testify to that as well. They use, for the coronavirus, they use that same technology. If you use an iPhone, automatically the moment you got your iOS 14 or something like that, then it is in there. Now, having said that, one thing is, something like this happens, everyone gets angry, we all come together, then the anger goes down. You ring someone, what about that project? I remember there was a time, if you remember the conversation we once had when Afaruku was invaded. Frantically, every single person of Igbo origin was angry. Those being angry felt that the Igbo nation was violated. None of those professionals in the diaspora working, none of those is an IPOB member. But for the fact that they felt that the Igbo nation was violated, what can you do? Can you actually issue an international warrant order against, be it Boratai, be it the CNC? No, it doesn't matter. But after some time, people were, in that moment, were willing to donate thousands of dollars and pounds. But question is, when the anger came down and called people again to say, are we willing to progress with this? No one is willing at that moment to part with their own money. So it's a psychological thing but I believe one thing is sure, this generation cannot leave Nigeria the way the older generations left it. If the government is unwilling to give a national database, this generation with technology must push the government off the cliff to ensure that something like that happens. Like Dan said, why wouldn't a state government have a database? Because when you have a database, it helps you in your planning, it helps you in your taxes, it helps you in every damn area, but they're not interested. If someone comes in just to steal money, why would they be interested in getting your data? Why?
So Maz, these things are not expensive, like I told you, and I don't need millions to get this done. We already have a prototype. It's just for me to get some people together, because there has to be a way, and we cannot all keep saying that people are not responding. Let us respond in our own way. It's very simple. We use a blockchain. We advertise the website. We encourage people to go on and register their information and sync in their GPS. So whenever you are anywhere when there's a crisis, just activate your GPS. We can triangulate your location. Honestly, after the whole crisis, we was okay. We got this signal from this person by this time. Where is it? We will ask questions, and that becomes a verifiable data that you can provide to the international community to begin to ask questions about somebody's well-being. We have to do something. I don't know how, but maybe, like you said, let's take it offline. We might have a different session where we'll have to discuss this.
I think in that area,
Thank you.
In that area, that is where Ohaneze will come in.
Let us leave Ohaneze. Let us leave Ohaneze. Independent-minded people, young people can volunteer. We get this done.
We can do something that we can now either push to Ohaneze and compel them to.
Exactly.
I'll give an example. Remember when in 2017, I believe, when the quick notice was issued. Ohanedo did something that not many people are aware. They did magic. They were able, within about a month or so, they had a census of every single Igbo person living in the north, both their drivers, taxis, whatever they were, every single person. They had a database, and that is through the town union. Because when you tell the town union, everybody knows, Marcel, you have 15 kids, you know? And
please let them know you are just speculated.
Okay, you have 2 kids. No, you don't have 15. So give me the name of your kids, give me the name of your driver, your maid, you know, you pushing this thing. The only thing is that this wasn't done electronically, but it's something that we must, within the Southeast, push to happen. That we know, because look, if we had something like that, we could actually stay in the Southeast and say, we know that Mr. X lives in Lagos. And after this Lekki massacre, that person has not been accounted, because we'll have a back office that will ring that individual and know that individual is no longer alive. This person lives in Obigbo. After this, we can now ring around and say, okay, this person cannot be accounted for. And whenever someone was accounted for a week before Obigbo invasion, and after Obigbo invasion, you can no longer account for that individual. It means only one thing, and one thing only. So again, because there is too much, we can blame the government, we can do anything, but one thing we can do is the job that you and I could do. You know, we're professionals in whatever in our various field within the IT technology industry. Let's crank our brains and get up with something that we can push our people. I know it's not going to be easy, you know, it's not going to be easy even to get people to register, because at the end of the day, you got to make it very easy for people to register online. But, you know, people must also, those watching us now must also understand that when something like that comes up, you must make efforts to go in and key in your data, real data, because this is necessary. Anyway, on that note, I say thank you once more. It's been a, sorry, Deli, I think you're speaking. I can see you're muted. You're still muted.
Sorry, I want us to make a conscious effort when we address issues concerning the Igbo. I'm an Igbo man from Delta State. When you talk about Southeast, you alienate me. It could cause let me finish. It could cause, it's a conscious effort. It may cause alienation from the Obigbo people as well.
No,
try and understand that.
I take that back. I said the Igbo nation. That's actually
better. Thank you very much.
So I take my Southeast back, the Igbo nation, because we have Igbos everywhere beyond the South. My bad. Honestly,
I was the first vice chairman of vice president of Aka Ikenga in this country in 1992. So I'm an Igbo man through and through.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you.
We're still there.
I sincerely apologize for that slip, but your correction well taken. On that note, I will say good night, everybody. If we keep this conversation, I know it's not going to stop, but be rest assured that we will take most of the things we said here this evening. The conversation and some work will continue offline. On that note, I will say good night and thank you very much for joining me this evening. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you so much.
Good night, all.
Good night, all.